Dr. Mark Dixon for Business 225, and today we're going to be reviewing the Project 2 overview. So again, in your assignment information sidebar, you're able to find all the rubrics for this class, and we're going to be talking about Project 2 guidelines and rubric today. All right. So in Project 2, you're going to be building off of what you did in Project 1. Again, each of the projects builds off of what you did in previous projects in order to give you a mastery of this topic that you're researching. The idea here is that you're going to be a subject matter expert in the diversification strategy and know all the factors that you need to help you make your argument. So in this project, you're going to demonstrate your mastery of analyzing quantitative and qualitative data to solve problems and make decisions that impact your organization and its stakeholders. So your scenario is that you've been asked to present your data findings and decision-making modeling to the leadership panel for feedback prior to the stakeholder meeting presentation. Your stakeholder meeting presentation is the more intensive presentation that you're going to be doing. So this is going to help create the baseline for that for you as you work to develop that final presentation. And the panel wants you to preview the charts and graphs that will be included in that presentation based on your research that you've conducted through this process. And they would like to see how you will use the data to inform your recommendation and how you will tell the story of that data. So your directions here is a two-part project. Your part one is going to use the research that you gathered in project one. So you have all of this data already. All you now need to do is visualize the data and show what that story is going to look like. You're going to provide a visualization for each of the following elements, and then you're going to summarize what that data is showing. So again, here is where you're looking to draw insight from what the visual is showing. So what is the story behind that visual? What's the story behind the data? You're going to help to connect the dots for your audience. So the three main points are going to be to review the current state of the U.S. automotive manufacturing industry. And so you have sales by fuel type as an example, electric, hybrid, and gas. But it can be any of the current state information that you actually gathered through your research process. And think back to your Porter's 5 forces analysis. That's going to inform this section quite a bit. You're also going to do current automotive industry trends. So what are different trends that are happening in industry, such as those related to motors for vehicles being sold, trends in customer demands, trends in body types of vehicles sold. Again, all this is information that you've done previously. You've already researched this. So it's a matter of taking that and turning it into something that will visually tell the story. And then you're also going to do trends in your new industry, such as expected growth areas, sales by type of products or services offered, and trends in customer demands. From that process, you are going to do a summary of all the data visualized. So some ideas here are to summarize the collective data about both industries as a whole and determine what the data is not telling you about the new industry. Again, it's drawing insight from your analysis. So it's not just going through the process of completing this step by step, but demonstrating that you have an understanding of what that data and story is telling you, because you're trying to make an argument as to why your industry and why your company should diversify into this new industry. Part 2 is going to analyze the 3 decision-making models and then select one model that is best suited for making your decision. So one thing that students often lose points on in this section is that they'll only pick the models that they feel are relevant to their research process and their decision making. But this prompt is actually looking for you to do a full analysis of all 3 models. So you want to make sure that you're specifically honing in on the rational decision-making model, the intuitive decision-making model, and then the recognition primed decision-making model in order to make your arguments as far as which one of these models makes the most sense. I understand this is a little targeted, so it's not giving you a lot of freedom to pick whatever decision-making model you want as far as analyzing how you're going to make your decisions. But the scope of this class includes these 3 particular decision-making models, so make sure you address all 3 of them. And then your final piece here is to explain your choice of a decision-making model. So which of these decision-making models makes the most sense for you? as far as how you're going to make your decision to diversify, and explain why that is and how that's going to work in your decision-making process. So this one is going to be a PowerPoint presentation. There's going to be 12 to 15 slides with speaker notes. Again, you're fine if you're over that amount. I would prefer you not be under the 12. Make sure you at least do a minimum of 12. And then your sources should be cited according to APA style. So I'm going to include some announcements about this topic, like I mentioned in Project 1. But the idea here is that on slides that you need to attribute, so if the information you're presenting is data that's being visualized, that's not your original idea. You didn't do the research to gather that data, meaning you didn't do firsthand research, it's secondhand. So you want to make sure you're sourcing the firsthand source of who actually did the research process. So include an in-text citation at the bottom of the slide that actually references who should be attributed to that particular data. That doesn't take away from the references slide, which you also need to do. So at the end, just like a paper, you need to have a references slide that includes the full listing of any references cited throughout your presentation. There's some supporting materials included in the rubric, which is the rational decision making, the 7 steps for making logical decisions, intuitive decision making, and then the recognition prime decision model. That's going to help you inform your part 2 section of this presentation. It'll give you all of the core information you need in order to create those particular slides. Here's the rubric again. Make sure that you're addressing each of these topics. While again, the Sumo web text is going to walk you through this process, and I'll show you a brief overview of that in a moment. Make sure that whatever you submit as your deliverable for Project 2 includes each of these points. So you want to make sure you have the current state of the U.S. automotive industry addressed. You want to make sure you have the current automotive industry trends addressed. You want to make sure you have new industry trends addressed. You've included a summary of the data visualized, and this is where, again, I'm looking for you to draw insights from your analysis. Make sure you've included an analysis of all 3 decision-making models, that you've selected a decision-making model and provided your rationale for why you chose that model. Articulation of response is, again, to make sure that you're doing a proofing process. You can use the Writing Center at SNHU in order to do that. You can also use tools like Grammarly.com, which offers a free version or a premium version that will also help you proof and ensure that you're grammatically correct and not taking away from your message. And again, citations are a critical aspect of this. You want to make sure that you are properly crediting sources when you're using different ideas that are not your original thoughts. So make sure that you're using proper in-text citations at the bottom of slides that you need to attribute, and that you include a references slide that provides your full references list. So I'm going to flip gears over to the Sumo web text. Again, here's your Project 2 overview, which we've already talked through, the scenario. And then it's going to walk you through the process. It's going to help you create data visualizations. It's going to prompt you to select a decision-making model. It's going to prompt you to add your charts and graphs through the Sumo web text. And this is all built in for you to make it a lot easier for you to get through the process. There is a few limitations here. Your speaker notes may not allow you to put the full speaker notes in. I apologize for that. It's a Sumo web text issue. If you can't get everything into the Sumo web text as far as your commentary goes, make sure that you include additional speaker notes on the slides in the speaker notes section of PowerPoint before you submit it to me. So that, again, is also a critical aspect of this project. You want to make sure that it's not just the visuals that you're including in there. You're also including some text on the slides that prompts through your reader to understand, or the person that's viewing your presentation to understand your message, and then you can expand any thoughts that you would actually say in person through your speaker notes section. So hopefully this helps you get started with this project. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can also start a general discussion forum if there's anything that you wanted to ask about this project, or if you're confused about anything. I'm here to help you be as successful as possible, and I hope you all are successful with this project, and please reach out to me with any other questions. All right, thank you. Bye.